Hello, friends. This is Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News today, February 5th, 2025. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday edition of Weaponized News. Seems to be slowing down a little bit there with the Trump administration. We still have a lot to cover today. What do we got? We got big wins, man. Forget all the blackpilling. We're getting big wins in public health. A bunch of places are banning fluoride in the water. A whole county in Florida has banned it. And then you got a bunch of cities here and there. So, yeah, we're going to cover that. We're getting big wins in public health. Looks like Bobby Kennedy Jr. is going to get confirmed. We've got, what else do we got? Mitch McConnell fell down again. So Turtle is now in a wheelchair, and that's a good representation of our Senate, actually. After the debacle that was those hearings, the Bobby Kennedy, the Tulsi Gabbard, and the Kash Patel hearings, the Senate is in a wheelchair, represented by Turtle Man Mitch McConnell. And so he's fell down again. And so now the Republicans are practicing elder abuse. Truly sickening. But we'll cover that a little bit. Trump signing more executive orders, but as he signs them, they're all, as I continue to say here, they're all going to be challenged in the court. One of them is immigration. One is being challenged in the court. And so as he signs them, they're being challenged in the court. Pam Bondi has been confirmed as the Attorney General, and she is calling for the release of the Epstein client list. So we're going to see how that sorts out. Interesting developments there. We've got a bunch more about USAID. The quote left wingers. I don't even know who these people are. Are they left wingers? I don't know. Maniacs. Allegedly American. Are they even American? Who knows? Maybe they're all CIA agents or USAID agents. Who knows? But now there's giant protests apparently to support giant fraud from USAID. I mean, if that's the best you got to protest, you need to get a freaking life, man. Because USAID is they're just pure criminals along with the rest of the government. But now it's all coming out, all the documentation up one side, down the other. And whoever these people are, I guess they're left wingers, Democrats. I don't know. They're protesting it. And so there's nationwide protests scheduled now against for USAID and against the Trump agenda. So we have that to look forward to. It appears that USAID is funding a bunch of these media, your Mockingbird CIA medias, Politico, and others. And then they're like, and BBC, but they're like, no, it wasn't. It's not BBC. It's just the BBC Foundation. So that's cool, right? Yeah, that's cool. So yeah, we have that. What else do we got? Major fallout, of course. I'm going to go over a little bit of Musk is in there. Do we trust Musk? Not really. But did we trust the last guys? Not really. So it looks like the push toward technocracy is increasing at a rapid rate here now. And so are we going to, and it appears we're going to get rid of one corrupt system and improve the scientific dictatorship with a more efficient corrupt system. And so I don't know what else we could ask for. CIA sends White House unclassified email with names of some employees, and the CIA apparently, Wall Street Journal is reporting that CIA is about to get a Trump makeover. Spy agency's workforce receives buyout style offer. I don't know how that's going. What are we going to do with all these unemployed spies? And then they're just going to go into private. But what doesn't matter again? It's all corrupt beyond our even wildest imaginations. What was that one famous? I forget even who said it, but they're like, the worst thing that you could possibly imagine the government's doing is even worse than that. And so, what if what are all these spies going to do? They're going to go work for private contractors and continue their evil deeds. But were they accountable under the quote government CIA? No. And so will it? I don't know, man. We got too many damn spies, too many damn scientists that are running amok everywhere. I know that, and ruining this world for the rest of us. That's for damn sure. They need to be re-educated and what's the saying? Learn to code. I guess you can't even code now because of AI. How about learn to farm? I don't know. They got to learn to do something else besides wreak havoc on society and run amok everywhere. Because that's all these large majority of scientists and spies are doing and have been doing for a very long time. We got an egg heist out of Pennsylvania to report on. Following the immigration efforts, it looks like we're falling short here on deporting all of these illegal aliens. So I'm going to go over some reports about that. ICE hasn't even published their numbers for for 6 days now. They were publishing it every day. So what's going on with ICE on the X? The public demands to know. And of course, big fallout from Trump's statements last night with at the press conference with Aardvark president about the U.S. taking over the Gaza Strip. Bunch of fallout from that and some other news mixed in there. And then, of course, we got, in honor of Barry, our unpaid co-producer, we were going to play his request to play the Roger Ver Tucker Carlson interview. That's about 40 minutes to close out the show. Thank you, Barry, for your efforts out there. Thank you, Ruckus. I see you retweeting. Maybe think of that. We have 11,600 some odd followers on the X, and one guy retweets the show. What does that tell you? We need the shares. Thank you very much, Ruckus, for doing that for me as I'm busy trying to get the show going. But where the hell are the rest of the followers reposting our stuff, man? That's what I want to know. X is a friggin' joke at this point. Free speech. Every post I make, they put a friggin' prawn bot on there, and it's got to be I saw people talking about it, and they're like, it's got to be programmed into X because, like, literally, as soon as you hit send, like a second later, there's a prawn bot on it, liking it and suppressing it. You know what I'm saying? So it's got to be programmed into X there, and you can't tell me they can't figure out how to get rid of them. And I'm seeing another trend on the X. It looks like old accounts, right? But it's got to be fake accounts, fake MAGA accounts that it says were established like a long time ago, like 2015. So I go and look, when was this account? Maybe it is a real person, right? And I go and look, when was this account allegedly, according to X, created? And I'm getting a bunch of likes and retweets, actually, which the bots don't never retweet. They just like from these MAGA accounts. But they look like fake accounts, you know what I mean? But it says like established 2015. I had one like 2011, something like this, a couple of them. I'm like, this is all fake. So there's a bunch of fake MAGA accounts on there as well that look even more legitimate. But if you actually go look at the account, they look fake. They don't post anything of their own, right? They just retweet, and they're MAGA bots, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, all that to cover and much more. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on the old YouTube. We did, thanks to our guest yesterday, Will Keller, and his audience, we did reach our 500 subscriber threshold on the YouTube, and Barry's efforts as well. Thank you, Barry, and the Will Keller audience out there, if anyone's listening today. We went over but now we still need to reach the hours watch threshold. And I guess I'll get to that when we get to our live commercial break. Let me get into this day in history. On this day in history of February 5th, going all the way back to 1597, we saw 26 Christian martyrs executed by the Japanese government, as the Japanese government saw these Christians as a threat to the government. So they had to be killed. Sounds about right, from government. In 1644, Connecticut passed the first U.S. livestock branding law. In 1783, and this has been the last 2 days, right? And I never realized Italy has a lot of freaking earthquakes that kill a lot of people. In 1783, Italy had an earthquake that killed an estimated over 30,000 people. In 1864, Federals occupy Jackson, Mississippi, part of the Civil War there. In 1870, the first motion picture shown to an audience aired in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. In 1887, in honor of climate change, 1887, on this day, snow fell in San Francisco. In 1904, U.S. occupation of Cuba ends. In 1918, separation of church and state began in the Soviet Union. And then after that, you're only allowed to worship the government. And so we do appreciate the Soviet efforts to make government their god. In 1924, the first Winter Olympics came to a close in France. On this day, in 1945, the famous I Shall Return speech. Let me get back to that so I could read that quickly for you. In 1945, on this day, U.S. troops under General Douglas MacArthur enter Manila in the Philippines after a month-long battle, ending 3 years of Japanese military occupation, allegedly liberated by America. They're in Philippines. In 1969, the U.S. population reached 200 million people, allegedly. In 1991, a Michigan court barred Dr. Jack Kevorkian from assisting in suicides, making the eugenicists very unhappy. And in 2020, the Senate acquits then President Donald Trump on abuse of power and obstruction charges, sadly. Let me play the segue, and then we'll get right to the news. Fried by Fluoride, the name of the group, and the song, The Love I Lost. I like the name of the group, Fried by Fluoride.
You
So that's some uplifting music by Fluoride. Drinking alone in a car again. Okay, the administrative, and to address Bob's question. I don't know if Bob's here, but he asked the question on the X. He said that he saw that Simon was tweeting a lot today, and let me just say that Simon had a major life-changing medical event, worse than the flu, worse than the bat flu. And I'm just going to leave it at that because he said he wanted his privacy about it. But he had a major life-changing medical event, and that's why he's not on the show anymore. And we did not have a falling out. Last time I talked to him, we're on good terms. Everything was good. It's just he's really, really ill, let's just say. Other administrative news about the show, Weaponized News moving forward. We will be having Thomas from Alpha Mega Energy on the show probably 2 times a week, I think is what I arranged with him. I don't know the exact schedule yet, but you could expect to see more of Thomas. And as I said, I'm going to try to get more guests. I have invitations out to all kinds of people, but me being my own producer, it's whatever. So anyway, I'm trying to get more guests, interesting guests, experts on subjects and the like, and try to bring in, authors of books, makers of films, people that are also doing their own media, all these type of interesting characters out there on the interwebs. And so I hope to bring more of them to you. But as I said, Thomas from Alpha Mega Energy will be on with us at least 2 times a week. We need to sort out some kind of schedule. His time is because he's in Cambodia, right? So like our 5 o'clock when we go live here is like his 8 in the morning, something like this. So anyway, that's what to expect from. Maybe we can get Simon back for a special appearance. But last time I talked to him, he said he's done doing all media. You can catch information from him on his X account. But he said he's not going to try to go on InfoWars or George Galloway or anything anymore and not do our own show. And so that's where we left it. And I respect I understand and respect his decision. But you can still follow him on the old X there. And maybe if he feels better sometime in the future, he's always welcome back on Weaponized News. So we're just going to have to see how that sorts out. Plutonium says we need to stop calling it the Civil War and start calling it the War of Northern Aggression. Okay, well, how dare you try to be free in America, right? Okay. Said I have nothing to offer your show except my ears. Well, thank you for your ears. Okay, what else do we got? Well, I wanted to cover this. We missed it with the guests and all the other news, but I thought this was significant. Climate goal of 2 degrees Celsius. Of course, we had to reach that or we're all going to spontaneously combust due to climate change, right? It's now been called off, and so it can't be achieved, apparently. Renowned climate scientist, Professor James Hansen, has declared the international target of limiting global temperatures rise to 2 degrees Celsius as dead, suggesting that the pace of global warming has been significantly underestimated. Despite the stark warning, there exists a division within the scientific community, with some scientists disagreeing with Hansen's assessment. Meanwhile, new research highlights potential mitigating factors like ocean gases that might have cooling effects, emphasizing the complexity of climate science and the necessity for continued global efforts to address climate change. Well, let's take a look at this short video. Here's some snow in Japan for the global warmists.
駐車場が完全に雪で埋まっていて、私たちの車がもはやどこにあるかわからないような状態となっています。さすがに行けるかどうか不安ですね、仕事まで。 はい、せーの。やっとです。
And so, as you could see, Japan is feeling the effects of global warming. What was this? Yesterday in the Tokachai region in Japan, experienced record-breaking snowfall with 1.2 meters or 47 inches of snow in 12 hours. And so that you could see that was kind of time lapse, obviously, right? It wasn't falling that fast, but 1.2 meters or 47 inches in 12 hours is a lot of friggin' snow. And also, we always have to bring this up, right? Right. Always left out of the climate change debate is the geoengineering programs going on all over the world. And we can't have an honest discussion about the weather if we don't address geoengineering and the weaponization of weather. So that we can't take any of these climate scientists seriously until that is part of the discussion. We know that their carbon markets are a giant scam, as we continue to report here. Every forest fire, every major fire, like we just saw in LA, every volcano eruption releases untold amounts of CO2 that cannot be mitigated and is never accounted for. It's just always man-made CO2 because we have to reach that Club of Rome net zero carbon emissions to fulfill the UN Agenda 2030 goals for sustainable development, which is all just a giant fraud. And so we can't take any of these people seriously when they still deny the fact that they're chemtrailing the hell out of us all the freaking time. Or I'm sorry, geoengineering, what is it, stratospheric aerosol spraying, and the solar radiation management program, to be scientifically correct for our skeptical audience out there. Just look up those terms and you'll see it right from the official sources. Anyway, moving on to, sadly, the EPA. I don't know what, they're not protecting the environment. The EPA tells more than 1,000 employees they could be fired immediately. And so that's very sad news, right? What do? They don't protect the environment. EPA tells more than 1,000, as the new head of the EPA, Lee Zeldin, is cleaning house as needs to be done there. Maybe they will start protecting the environment. I have my doubts. Okay, that was from yesterday, but I wanted to cover it because I thought it was important that the old Mr. Hansen there is he's throwing up his hands, but don't worry, Agenda 2030 will continue. Okay, falling Mitch. Republicans, Democrats, the government are famous elder abusers now. They're infamous for elder abuse. Mitch McConnell was injured after falling near the Senate chamber. And so this is 2 falls now in the last, 2 months or something like this. Put the guy, resign, Mitch McConnell. Where's the, quote, adults in the room? Telling this guy it's time to hang it up. You need to go be with your family. You're obviously not fit for duty here at the Senate. We do love your fundraising. That's what he was famous for, right? He didn't have charisma. He's not good looking. He has a Chinese spy wife, allegedly. But he's famous for his fundraising because the lobbyists knew, give this guy the money. He's going to whip up the votes, disperse the bribes, and we're going to get our agenda through, right? But he doesn't seem fit to even do that now. And so it's time for Mitch McConnell to retire. And if there's any responsible members of the Senate, and Trump as well, the president, all of these clowns, they need to have that talk with Mitch McConnell. It's time to hang it up, buddy. Here's a picture of him in a wheelchair. And so this projects American strength right here with Mitch McConnell being wheeled around in a wheelchair out of his freaking mind, right? He's not in his right mind. He's not fit to serve the Senate. There's a reenactment, allegedly, of his fall today. See that? So that's very sad. And I'm not for elder abuse. So therefore, they need to retire Mitch McConnell to the farm. Here's another reenactment of the fall today. Very sad indeed. And then here's a video of him freezing his previous fall. How many times has this guy fallen? This is way back in 2014. Let's watch this mashup of all of Mitch McConnell's mishaps here. Falling down, freezing, looks like he's having a stroke. So elder abuse on full display here by our government. Is anyone surprised? I'm not.
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026? All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator Benny.
Okay.
Somebody else have a question? Please speak up.
Bipartisan cooperation and a string of
Okay, Mitch? Anything else you want to say, or should we just go back to your press? Do you want to say anything else to the press? I'll take a break. Let's go back to you.
Go ahead, John.
And so, yeah, that was December, 2 months ago, where you can see he fell on his face. He had to have a brace on his arm. It's time to go, Mitch. Sorry to tell you. I guess who took over? Thune is the head Republican in the Senate. At least he's not the head, but it's just, come on, Kentucky. Get his ass out of there. Okay. Trump signs executive order to ban transgender women from women's sports. It's going to get challenged in court. Let's watch the video from it today. And people are saying, what if these little kids, they could be Hamas martyrs for the cause with a bomb strapped to them potentially. How does Secret Service let these kids all get around Trump? Let's watch this.
You want to do this? Watch what I do, and then I'm going to give you some pens, okay? You ready? What a nice picture this is, huh, Governor? You ready? We'll do a good job. Wait, let me press that. I want to make this a really good signature, because this is, this is a big one, right? Oh, I think we have a 10. We have a 10.
God bless you, Mr. President.
Pretty good, huh? I see that. Okay? Good. Now you're going to go out and win those events, right? Nice to see you all. Nice to see you. Great going, everybody. Nice to see you. Thank you, kids. Here. Take a pen. I'll give some of these.
And so again, this will be challenged in court. Make no mistake about that. So today was National Girls and Women's in Sports Day, proclaimed by Trump at the White House. Argentina it seems that old Milei is following Trump's lead on a lot of stuff. Argentina to ban gender surgery hormone therapy for minors. That's taking a second to load. I'll throw it up on the old X here. So yeah, I didn't want to load. There we go. Argentina to ban surgery hormone therapies for minors. It seems that old Milei is following Trump's lead here, as well impose limits on trans women being housed inside women's prisons. And so there is, we'll get to more about Milei following Trump's lead here. Okay, Bondi, Pam Bondi, now the acting U.S. Attorney General, has called for public release of Jeffrey Epstein client list, spotlighting the ongoing legal and ethical discussions surrounding the case. This demand comes in the wake of recent unsealing of Epstein-related documents, which have ignited public and media interest in identifying those linked to Epstein's criminal activities. Probably half of Congress there. I don't know what will happen if it officially comes out. Let's hear from Pam Bondi.
Well, we know he was on the plane, not only on the plane a couple times, multiple times. He traveled internationally with Jeffrey Epstein, and he was on the plane called the Lolita Express because it supposedly had a bed in there where Jeffrey Epstein had young girls. He has been a friend of his, a continuing friend of his for years and years. Contrast that with Donald Trump, who hasn't spoken to him in many years, over a decade, after he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago for bad behavior. So that's the difference there. And I think Americans see the two-tier justice system. But, you know, we don't know. They're saying Clinton has not been to his private island, but he has traveled all over the world with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know why AG Garland and the Justice Department are so quiet on this tonight. You know, they're out there labeling parents domestic terrorists, yet they're saying nothing about this. And these documents were so slow.
So that's some old clips from her. Well, we're going to see. Is Trump on that list? Will they edit it to keep Trump off the list if he was on the list? I don't know, man. We're going to see. We're going to see. Okay, AM radio bill advances to full Senate. And so I don't know. I think I did report on this as I saw it first come out. But the AM radio now, the AM radio for every vehicle has progressed through the Senate Commerce Committee with bipartisan support, aiming to mandate that all new vehicles sold in the United States include AM radio. The legislative move underscores AM radio's role in providing emergency alerts, local news, and entertainment, particularly in rural areas. Key stakeholders like the FCC, the National Association of Broadcasters, and various state broadcasting associations have endorsed the bill, highlighting its importance for public safety. The act is now poised for the full Senate vote, reflecting a broad consensus on the necessity of AM radio in modern vehicles. I don't like the government mandating anything. Honestly, manufacturers were moving away from AM radio, saying, well, everybody's streaming everything now and your freaking car's hooked to the internet. But I do believe we need AM radio. I just don't like the government mandating it. So by this report, it will pass, and AM radio will be mandated in vehicles. How about the idea you love AM radio so much, put in a stereo in your car that can receive AM radio? So I guess we're going to have AM radio, looks like anyway, mandated by the government to be in all vehicles. new vehicles produced. Okay, USAID, right? But what about Trump administration? Laura Trump joins Fox News as weekend host. And wasn't she, I don't know what her official position is now. She was the head of the RNC, right? I haven't seen that she stepped down, but now she'll be a weekend Fox News host as well. So we can expect to see what? Favors? We saw Rupert Murdoch at the White House, 2 days ago or yesterday, something like this, the owner of Fox News. And so is this some type of favor? You're going to get pure Trump propaganda on that show. You can guarantee that. So that's going on as we try to be critical of both sides here. Google ends diversity hiring goals, reviews DEI programs. Google has announced the cessation of its diversity hiring goals, moving toward a merit-based hiring system while also reviewing its broader DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. The shift follows recent government contractor regulations and court decisions. The decision has sparked varied reactions, with some seeing it as promoting mediocrity, while others view it as a step back from diversity commitments. So everybody's getting in line, it seems, or at least they're acting like they're getting in line here now with the new Trump administration agenda. White House confirms Politico, propped up by millions of dollars from the U.S. government. Let's watch this clip. Let's watch this clip, and then I think we have some other reporting about USAID. What a slush fund for corruption that's being uncovered there.
That the more than 8 million taxpayer dollars that have gone to essentially subsidizing subscriptions to Politico on the American taxpayers' dime will no longer be happening. The DOJ team is working on canceling those payments now. Again, this is a whole of government effort to ensure that we are going line by line when it comes to the federal government's books. And this president and his team are making decisions across the board on, do these receipts serve the interests of the American people? Is this a good use of the American taxpayers' money? If it is not, that funding will no longer be sent abroad, and American taxpayers will see significant savings because of that effort.
Well, I'm outraged. I'm probably going to go protest with the, I don't even know who they are. Like I said, they look like left wingers, but who knows who they are? They're probably USAID or some of these spies. Who knows? In the thumbnail image of this, staff at Politico did not get paid for the latest pay period. The company just sent several emails to employees saying it believes there was a technical error. Huh? So, yeah, Politico and others here now. Let me pull that up. Hunter, here you go. Here's one of many. Hunter Biden stories Russian disinfo. Dozens of former intel officials say, and so was Politico paid to publish the story? It certainly appears so. And then, of course, right, the White House then, was she then there? I don't know. Raggedy Ann, of course, posted that on the X, right? When she was the spokes propaganda woman for the White House. So it's looking real dirty here. But aren't they all Mockingbird media? The program never ended after it was exposed in the 70s by the Church Commission. Did it? I don't think it did. I think we're still under that. And then the repeal of the Smith-Mundt Act as well. Can we bring back the Smith-Mundt Act? Will it make a difference? At least there'll be a law that they would theoretically have to enforce, saying you can't propagandize domestically here. So yeah, it just goes on with the corruption during the Biden years. Politico again. Who else? I saw reports of BBC. What are they getting? So 90% of subscribers to left-wing publications like Politico are fake and taxpayer funded. That's what it's looking like. The documents coming out after this quote audit of USAID. Politico gets to sell itself to German propaganda, and so we're seeing funding for all these foreign media outfits as well. New York Times got $3.1 million in funding from USAID. Politico got $32 million. BBC got 3.2 approximately. But they said, the BBC was actually to their charity, so it wasn't directly to BBC. So it's okay now, don't fuss about that. And so here's the, can we throw that on the screen? It's kind of hard to see here, but again, for those interested, here's the our funding that's emitted by the BBC. But again, it went to their charity, so don't worry about us paying for the BBC to propagandize the British people. Don't you worry about that. It was all used for charitable causes, like brainwashing. But again, for those interested to do the deep dives, well, the information's all out there, but the links to everything I talk about on the show will be on our Substack, Weaponized News Substack, in the sources, show notes, if you want to, if you care, or maybe you already have this information. I don't know. Let's watch this short video. USAID pays millions for celebrities for propaganda efforts in Ukraine. And so we do appreciate this. They're complicit in war crimes, essentially, here now, but at least they got paid well. And so I guess that will clean your conscience.
USAID sponsored American celebrity visits to Ukraine after Russia's full-scale invasion began. Angelina Jolie, $20 million. Sean Penn, $5 million. Jean-Claude Van Damme, $1.5 million. Orlando Bloom, $8 million. Ben Stiller, $4 million. This was done to increase Zelensky's popularity among foreign audiences, particularly in the United States. The involvement of celebrities made it easier to coordinate funding programs for Ukraine during the conflict.
So I'm upset about Van Damme. I like Van Damme. I used to love those movies when I was a kid. We'd go out and kick the hell out of each other. I remember a couple times after watching Van Damme movies when I was a kid. And me and my buddies would go out and start kickboxing, acting like we knew what we were doing and kicking the hell out of each other. Anyway, full disclosure on that video, it was not produced by E! News, Community Note said. So I wanted to have full disclosure about it for anyone confused that couldn't tell it was made by AI there. More about USAID corruption here. And it just goes on and on and on. This is I guess this is just the beginning, hopefully. USAID is a $40 billion deep state social justice slush fund. It's not deep state, it's government. That's another where they're trying to confuse us here. But you would see here $20 million for Iraqi Sesame Street. I like Sesame Street, maybe not a new woke one, but $2 million for Moroccan pottery classes, $11 million to tell Vietnam stop burning trash, $27 million to give gift bags to illegals, $330 million to help Afghanis grow crops. That's your opium, right? Your opium poppies. $300 million on unused Afghani power plant. $200 million on unused Afghani dam. and $250 million on unused Afghani road. Well, maybe they will use it, okay? And it just goes on and on and on. But are we ever going to get to... Wait, I'm leading up to it. I did have it tied together here. Let's hear from Ron Paul. He says, audit USAID, then shut it down. Let's hear from old Ron Paul about it.
And thank you for tuning in to the weekly report. Audit USAID, then shut it down.
He goes on about it, but I don't think we have time for the 5-minute clip there, as we have a lot more to get to. But Ron Paul's still banging away there. Bless his heart. Let's see. Senate examines debanking practices. The U.S. Senate Banking Committee held a hearing titled Investigating the Real Impacts of Debanking in America. That happened today. Here's a short clip from that. This is pure weaponization and government-backed economic warfare. They're good guys. They debanked everybody for their own good, of course.
Under the Biden administration, we've seen the rise of what many are calling Operation Choke Point 2.0, where federal regulators exploited their power, pressuring banks to cut off services to individuals and businesses with conservative dispositions or folks aligned with industries they just didn't like the color of one's skin in my family's history. I wholeheartedly believe that debanking someone over their political ideology is un-American and goes against the core values.
Wait till they find out you're critical of the aardvarks. You'll be debanked. You may be just drone killed. Don't think that's not coming. Okay. Argentina withdraws from the WHO. And so like I said, Milei is following Trump's lead here. Argentinian President Javier Milei has announced that Argentina will withdraw from the World Health Organization, a decision influenced by critics regarding by criticism regarding the WHO's handling of global health issues like the bat disease. This move echoes a similar action taken by Trump, the report says here. So, yeah, I mean, you got Trump and Milei now cyberbullying. They're really bullying them in the real world, and so they should be banned again. Maybe the only place you'll be able to find Trump and Milei is on Truth Social. I don't know. But I bet YouTube's all pissed off about this. There shall be no criticism of the World Health Organization, the greatest public health agency ever created. Okay? YouTube. So that happened. Okay, here's what I'm talking about. AP tells us protesters in cities across the U.S. rally against Trump's policies, Project 2025, and Elon Musk. And so I'm kind of with them on some of it, but it's just ridiculous, the rest of it. I don't trust Musk. I don't trust Trump. I don't trust they're the government now, so we can't trust them, right? Musk is official government employee now. And so is Trump. Couldn't trust them before, but now you really can't trust them. But they are protesting the hoaxes and the wrong things again. And this is my problem. Let's show some images from these. They're literally protesting for corruption because we need to. And this brings me to, no, not yet. Okay, let's show some images of these protests. It could be just all more agitprop, fake, crisis actors, whatever you want to call them, paid provocateurs. I don't put that past these criminals in the government at all. At least half of them are wearing masks here, so that's good. But here's the thumbnail I grabbed because USAID saves lives. Really, they overthrow countries. We just went over all, and it just goes on and on and on. They're propagandizing the American people and foreigners with the quote woke agenda, with just nonsense. So you can see some of the signs here. Is any of this even real? Is it all staged up? Are these legitimate grassroots protesters? I don't know. Americans are pretty dumb. Left-wingers, the new current thing, they'll chase after it. You know what I mean? So, but let's go through some of these images. Protesting around the country, allegedly, according to AP. Stop Musk. Of course, it's always fun to just go scream in public. Dump Trump. Go birds. I guess that's Philadelphia. I don't know. Get rid of ignorance, not immigrants. Well, follow our immigration law and we would have no problem with immigrants. Pretty simple, honestly. No one is illegal on stolen land. Well, take it back. They're at the Capitol in California. You can see. I don't know why they're protesting there. We're a sanctuary state. Everybody at that Capitol building in California is all for illegal immigration. You're, again, protesting the wrong place. You should be protesting a federal building, not the California State Capitol. But maybe someday, some way, they'll figure out the right places to protest. We the people reject Project 2025. Trump publicly denounced Project 2025, but hey, no Doge. We love government corruption. There's a little anarchy sign there. Can't make it out. There's students against fascism. Well, you weren't against the last administration, and that's the inconsistency. You should be consistently against government, no matter who's in there. Trump, Biden, dogs, cats, aliens, it's still the government. And so, but they're not consistent, and I cannot have respect for these people because they're literally agitprop clowns at this point. Resist. We say no to Trump and Project 2025. That's the least of our freaking problems. Deport Elon, tax the rich, wake up. Arrest the president. We got the evidence. They have launched articles of impeachment against Trump today. Old Al Green. We'll get to that. And of course, still wearing the masks. You got to think these are feds, right? Or just, man. Left-wingers are germaphobes as well, so it's hard to tell. It really is hard to tell. They're really up in arms about Project 2025. Should be up in arms about Agenda 2030. Reject fascism, indeed, but for all those in government. Vets against Trump. Fight the power. Hate never made America great. No one is illegal on stolen land again. What should I tweet next? Glad to have advisors. And we should take this guy wearing a mask and a cheese head seriously. Kind of undermining your message there a little bit. Veterans against Trump, commondefense.us. Well, we were against Trump. We were against Biden. Deny, defund, deport President Trump. Or Musk, President Musk, sorry. Anti-fascist, and so there's Antifa. Eliminate Elon. Stop the Nazi coup, deport Elon. Can we deport Elon? I don't know. I think he is a legal U.S. citizen. Here's the Idaho State House. Again, you're protesting the state, and you should be protesting the feds. And wave your foreign Mexican flag around as well. That will help gain sympathy for your cause. And so these are the images of protests around the country, allegedly from the AP. Gitmo violates Geneva. Indeed, we shouldn't have Gitmo, a torture center, black site. 2 weeks of hell enough. It's only 2 weeks, man. Pace yourself. We're going to have plenty to protest here now. And so those are some images from around the country of the protests that in large part are all wrong. I mean, First Amendment, protest away, but at least protest the right things and be consistent about it. The inconsistency loses all credibility to me for these protests. But that's just me. Okay, on to, and we're segueing, we're getting there. Let's read what old Whitney Webb had to say. She says, until Doge, or any other aspect of the Trump administration meaningfully addresses FASB 56, which literally allows U.S. government to cook its own books to enable secret black budget projects, I will remain skeptical that it truly intends to rein in runaway spending and misuse of taxpayer funds. Indeed, and for more, go to Solar Report, Catherine Austin Fitts, and she's always talking about where's that missing whatever quadrillion dollars. I forget the exact number, but yeah, where is all that missing money? What is it, 93 trillion, something like this? Insane amount, right? And so where is that money at? And so indeed, address that FASB S56. Indeed, the biggest heist in American history, really. The Verge tells us DC is waking up to Elon Musk's takeover. Elon bought the United States for $41.277 billion. I don't know where they came up with that number, but it's paying a hell. I thought Musk was better with money than that. He's paying a hell of a lot more than these lobbyists that buy Congress for freaking $5,000. You know what I'm saying? So he way overpaid if he did buy the U.S. government for that price, because it's way cheaper than that. There's a cat in here. Musk advocates for blockchain in U.S. Treasury. And so are we going to see the technocracy here take over? It seems we are. Elon Musk, through his role in Department of Government Efficiency, has proposed the implementation of blockchain technology to manage U.S. Treasury transactions. This initiative aims to provide full transparency, allowing citizens to track government spending in real time. However, this concept faces scrutiny regarding its feasibility and potential security risks. We need to get out of the Federal Reserve, out of the debt-based monetary system, and put the issuance of currency and credit back underneath the Treasury Department, as is called for in the Constitution, if we're going to ever get any of this stuff straight. And of course, that would cause the whole world economy to crash, but at some point they're going to crash it anyway, so it has to be done. And we are in the Great Reset, and so let's at least get back under. Let's get constitutional monetary policy here now and get out from underneath the debt slavery that the Federal Reserve has us in, is what I'm calling for. The issuance of debt-free money. Elon Musk proposes IRS audit. I was getting to that. Kind of got out of whack with the whole call for, let's audit all the black funds, the FASB S52, like Whitney Webb is calling for. But Elon Musk proposes IRS audit by Doge. And so, yeah, let's audit the IRS, right? But we need to audit the entire government and track down these black budget, which we probably never will get to the bottom of because it's a black budget secret, right? But the people on the X support it. You can see this poll put out by Musk yesterday, and it had almost 9 million votes on it. He says, would you like Doge to audit the IRS? 51% yes, and 40% F yes. So what is that, like 90, almost 92% on X, of course, so it is biased, but yeah, let's audit the IRS. Why not? They'll audit you. They may audit me for even suggesting such a thing. CIA sends White House an unclassified email with names of some employees. The CIA sent the White House an unclassified email listing all employees hired by the spy agency over the last 2 years to comply with an executive order to shrink the federal workforce. And then that's where we hear national security. Oh my God, you're putting their lives at risk by making their names public. Well, that may be true in foreign countries, but you would think they would sort this out and let them know. But the problem is the CIA is operating everywhere, and they're just a damn criminal organization, so they should be abolished by all rights here now, with all working hand in glove. Some say basically the same as USAID. Of course, they're going to whine and cry. You're putting agents' lives at risk. But are they even doing anything in America's interest? It seems they're doing the work of the, quote, deep state shadow government, the government, who's gone totally rogue against the American people's interest. And what do we got? CIA is about to get a Trump makeover. Spy agency workforce receives buyout style offer. The Wall Street Journal is reporting here. But like I was saying, what are we going to do if they do buy them out? What are all these spies going to do? Learn to code? They can't learn to code now. Maybe become farmers or do something productive besides clandestine operations to undermine society and coups and assassinations and running mind control programs and all the insanity that we know goes on at the CIA. Drug running, human trafficking, the worst crimes imaginable, run in large part by and through the CIA. Maybe they could just stop doing that and go to church. I don't know. Maybe they can go become priests at the Catholic Church. I don't know. But what are we going to do if they take these buyouts and be a bunch of spies running around everywhere, going to work for private contractors, doing a bunch of more crimes against the American people and the rest of the world? But what do we do with them? So it seems like a conundrum to me. So Ratcliffe, the new head of the CIA, says he's cleaning it up. Really? I have my doubts. Are we going to get declassification of 9/11? We're waiting. We're waiting for full transparency here. We'll see. Yesterday, old Bibi, our shadow president, said that he wants a full investigation into October 7th, the worst attack in the history of the world. And it's going to be independent, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. Really? Okay, continuing here. Oh, we're past the hour mark here. Barry, you didn't remind me. Oh, yeah, you did. Thank you, Barry. I'm not even paying attention to the old chat there. Thank you guys for chatting it up and keeping it lively. Okay, so as I announced earlier, we have fulfilled the first part of our campaign to become monetized on YouTube. We're now up to 503 subscribers. Barring me pissing anybody off and getting unsubscribed, we have surpassed that threshold. It doesn't automate the balloons or anything here, but you can see we're at 503. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed to our YouTube and helped in this campaign to become monetized. But now the next part of the campaign is to go ahead and get our hours viewed here. And we'll go right there for full transparency. We are, and the data lags here. See, it says showing data from January 31st. So it's lagging by what, 5 days here? And so we have 2,391 hours watched. So we're like 600 hours watched away. It looks like we're going to make it by all rights if I can keep up the momentum here. And to you out in the audience, thank you very much, especially Barry, who's creating multiple accounts and helping us. But I think we're going to make it. We just have to keep this campaign going. And so the easiest way to help us fulfill the 3,000 hours watched here in 365 days, and let's say we're down to 140 days left to get 600 hours watched, the easiest way to help us fulfill this campaign and become monetized on YouTube for whatever it's worth is scroll down to the bottom here on the YouTube Weaponized News channel and watch these documentaries about the new world order from the Russian and Chinese perspective, about the Aardvark genocide there documented out of the UN, the new nuclear doctrine from Russia and China. I think we have a BRICS documentary in there as well, and others. Get educated up about this from primary source documents narrated by Simon, or if you've already watched these documentaries about the new world order, the new era that we're, the multipolar world that we're fast approaching here, then simply push play, mute, and walk away, and help us rack up those hours watched as we continue to try to become monetized on YouTube. Thank you very much for that live commercial break, and much appreciation to everyone who has participated and helped us out in this campaign. Shocking story here. I did buy eggs today because I'm going to make some potato salad. And I like to put eggs in my potato salad recipe. But over here at my discount grocery store that I go to, grocery outlet, I think it was California's whack, right? So they say they passed a law, they have to be cage free, but then that means like they let them out of their solitary confinement like an hour a day or something. I forget all the rules. But anyway, they have all these whack labels here in California. It says cage free. I think that's probably all you can buy here now. And so you're like, I'm doing good. I named the chicken. I bought them a mask so they don't get the bird flu, all this kind of stuff, right? I'm humane to my chickens because I want love in my eggs is what I'm thinking. Anyway, I bought a dozen eggs and it was like $8.50 at the discount grocery store today. And it went all the way up. I think if you wanted organic, it was like $12.50, $13.50 maybe for a dozen eggs here in California, where we have a lot of egg farms. And we used to have a lot of chickens until they culled them all for the bird flu, saving our life. Thank you very much. But see this report out of CNN, 10,000 eggs were stolen from a trailer in Pennsylvania. The police say there was a giant egg heist of 10,000 eggs. I haven't done the math. Approximately worth $40,000 worth of eggs. But it is, those are sensitive, so you need to move them quick and use them. And they even admit here, the egg industry has faced considerable challenges in recent months with the reemergence of the avian flu outbreak that has killed millions of egg-laying hens. Well, it's not the avian flu that's killed them. It's the orders from the health department, actually. So they halfway tell the story right at Mockingbird CNN there. You can see right here. So 40,000, but they are perishable, right? And so there are ways to preserve eggs, but they are perishable. So they were stolen from Pete and Jerry's Organics. So that's a big loss for them. Hopefully they had egg insurance. But yeah, it's Trump's fault. What the hell? Let's blame Trump. That's the idiot narrative out there. So I'm sticking with it, right? Okay. What is going on at the southern border? I'm demanding more from ICE. Like I said at the beginning, ICE is not even, they're not even putting out their little memes giving us an update. But according to the Defense Department, Secretary of State, or Defense, Hegseth, he says that today, full control of the southern border is the goal of the current administration, and all intergovernmental agencies are working to enforce border security. Statement out of the Defense Department today. Here's what I was talking about. Trump's birthright citizenship order is put on hold by a second federal judge. Federal judge on Wednesday ordered a second nationwide pause on Trump's executive order seeking to end birthright citizenship for anyone born in the U.S. to someone in the country illegally, calling citizenship most precious right. And this was a U.S. judge, U.S. District Judge Deborah Boardman, said no court in this country has endorsed the Trump administration's interpretation of the 14th Amendment. This court will not be the first. So it looks like it is going to the Supreme Court on the grounds of the 14th Amendment. And all this stuff, the large majority of these executive orders are being challenged. And so here's the latest update from ICE. I'm demanding more updates from ICE. This is already back to January 31st. And so at this point in his administration, it's being reported that Obama has actually deported more than Trump. And so they're lagging. They're lagging here big time. And I'm not getting the deportations I was promised. Mass deportations haven't arrived, but Trump's PR blitz has, as we've all seen, sparking nationwide protests. But we're not getting the numbers that we need here now. Are we? Maybe this is going to put a kick in their ass. Bondi, the Attorney General, has initiated a significant policy shift by ordering the Department of Justice to cut off federal funding to 220 sanctuary cities. The directive also involves reviewing funding agreements with NGOs supporting these policies, and Bondi has indicated potential legal action against officials impeding immigration enforcement. Potential legal action. Go arrest these assholes. Go arrest them. Damn it. I'm sick of this. Send the feds and go arrest them. What else have we got? Guatemala accepts deported migrants in deal with U.S. Guatemalan President Arvalo, sure I pronounced that wrong, has agreed to accept migrants from other countries who are being deported from the United States following discussions with Little Marco, Secretary of State, during his Latin American visit. This agreement is part of a safe third country initiative. So that's what it's being called, Safe Third Country Initiative, where Guatemala will serve as a temporary host before migrants are returned to their countries of origin. The deal also includes an offer to increase the number of deportation flights from the U.S. to Guatemala. So it's looking like Guatemala is helping us out here. So I don't know what they offered them. Money, drugs, women, who knows? But safe third country initiative. We're going to have to keep an eye on that terminology. Continuing here, is that all the immigration news that we got? Mexico begins. Let's watch this short clip. Mexico begins deploying troops. Mexican National Guard troops arrive at the border in Tijuana there. Let's watch this short report about it.
Just before 9:30 Tuesday morning, 250 Mexican National Guard troops arrived in Tijuana. This video from our reporting partners Televisa. A few hours later, afternoon, another plane with another 250 military personnel. Their arrival at Air Force Base number 12 in Tijuana, a base just south of the border between the two U.S. ports of entry.
If they want to play the game, I don't mind. We can play the game all they want.
The troops' arrival comes just a day after President Trump announced a pause to the 25% tariffs on Mexico.
Yeah. Back in the day, Ruckus says, back in the day, eggs and rolls of toilet paper were so cheap, we used to decorate people's houses with them. Remember at the beginning of the lockdowns, the toilet paper shortages? I never did quite understand that. But there's some kind of propaganda, mind control, brainwashing program that put it in people's heads they needed to hoard toilet paper. Sadly, it didn't work on me, and my butt was always clean through the whole thing. But I'm sure everybody remembers that, the hoarding of the toilet paper. Bizarre. There was some report about they had done that. They had seen this behavior before during other, in socialist countries, during other perceived shortages. ICE leads Operation Aurora against Venezuelan gang in Colorado. And so allegedly, Operation Aurora, wasn't Wayne's World in Aurora, Colorado? I think it was. So ICE, in collaboration with multiple federal agencies, conducted a large-scale operation named Operation Aurora in Aurora and Denver, Colorado today. This operation targeted over 100 members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua for arrest and detention. The law enforcement action included raids at multiple apartment complexes, highlighting a significant effort to curb gang-related activities in the area. 100 guys is all they got. We need, I forget even the numbers, we need like 10,000 a day for the rest of the Trump administration, and they're just not doing it. So I'm pretty disappointed in the ICE efforts here now. Okay. Where are we at here? We're on to the last segment of the show. Running out of TP is traumatic for some, I guess. Yeah, well, it is kind of traumatic if you're sitting there yelling, "Give me some toilet paper," when you run out there, sitting on the pot. But is it worth hoarding during a lockdown? I think we could hoard better things, honestly, but that's just me. Like food and water, and clean water specifically. Did we did we even cover the fluoride, guys? Thought we covered it. Did I skip over that? I think I skipped over the fluoride. I'm going to go back to it. I'm going to go back to the fluoride reports here. I think I did skip over it. I did. Lee County bans fluoride, a shift in public health policy. So a whole county here now in Florida has voted unanimously to remove fluoride from the public drinking water supply, joining a trend amongst U.S. communities. And again, shout out to Fluoride Action Network. They're the ones doing the heavy lifting, as they say, on this. And of course, Florida Surgeon General Joseph Ladapo, supported this decision, highlighting concerns about fluoride safety over its dental benefits. Well, as we continue to go over here, it's not the naturally occurring mineral fluoride. It's this hydrofluoric acid and other toxic waste they call fluoride. That's the byproduct of aluminum and nuclear production, industrial production, is actually the fluoride they're putting in our water and saying it's the naturally occurring fluoride. And it made no sense anyway. Why ingesting it? And maybe you can make an argument that topically applying it to your teeth, if it's the real fluoride, could have some dental benefit. But this, just mass medicating essentially, a 300-pound man versus a 6-pound baby gets the same dose of drinking fluoridated water, and you're ingesting it, not even applying it topically to your teeth, make no damn sense. And so let's hear now from, Florida is leading the way here now, but we've seen them picking it apart. Lee County, a whole county. And then we have, as I said here, last time I researched this about how to get it out of the water, like 15 years ago, you had to go to each individual water district here in my Fresno County. Maybe some industrious people with more time than I do will take this to your county and say, hey, look, whole county over there in Florida, Lee County banned it, so you guys do it too. You know what I mean? But all the way down to your county board of supervisors in most parts of the country, corrupt pieces of shit. Sorry to tell you. As I've found here in my Fresno County. But maybe this can help apply pressure. Really, the only thing they respond to is you have to threaten to sue them, honestly, because they're demon creatures, even down to your county board of supervisors. Maybe there's a one good one here and there, but honestly, F the entire government at this point after all they've done to us. This guy, maybe he's a good guy, seems to be. He's still questionable for working for the government. Let's hear from Florida Surgeon General Ladapo. What he had to say about it.
Of fluoride is also present at lower levels of fluoride that we see in this country. So at this point, I mean, I'm trying to think of a word that won't be taken the wrong way to describe the notion of continuing to support this. I mean, it's insane to continue to support this with the information that we have now. And you know, and you know, who suffers the most? Well, so far it's children and pregnant women. Those are the most sensitive populations. That's where the strongest data are. And you know, obviously, especially for our children, just why on earth's name would we? Why would we ever continue to expose them to something that's totally avoidable?
He doesn't get it. I don't know how long this guy's going to be in the government. I guess Florida looks like they're doing the right thing. But he doesn't get it. They're targeting, or maybe he does get it, he just won't go all the way. They're targeting children and pregnant women because they're running a eugenics depopulation program. All right? Public health is in this country and all around the world. And so that's exactly why they're targeting the most vulnerable. And I'm sure he's a smart guy, PhD, whatever. I'm sure he does know, but he just won't go all the way in public and say exactly what is going on here. It's not a mistake. They didn't do it by accident. It's all intentional. They're all insane criminals committing crimes against humanity for a long freaking time here now. Okay. We did cover that. Yeah, I still do actually too there, Ruckus. Ruckus says, I'm still surviving off my 2020 canned goods stuff. I still do. I have to read the expiration dates and in the back of the cupboard and eat those old food stocks, the canned foods for sure. But yeah, I have some old stuff I need to eat. Probably maybe I know some of it expired already. But yeah, so am I. I'm living off that too. Okay, on to the serious news. The fallout from Trump. Him saying the U.S. is going to take the Gaza Strip. Essentially, how are we going to take it? I don't know. I halfway understand what he's saying, but you can't just genocide people off their land and call them terrorists. Okay, that's crimes against humanity, war crimes. You can't just do that with this whole fake narrative backing the aardvarks. Trump, you just can't do it. But Trump, he needs to just come out and say, hey, aardvarks are going to kill you. He's kind of backhandedly saying that. And I do understand that, but it's like they all need to be denounced and arrested for war crimes here and crimes against humanity. Trump, you can't be supporting our real president over there in aardvark land doing with this type of behavior. Okay? And that's the truth of the matter. But he's like, they're going to kill you, right? And so you got to move or they're just going to kill you, which is true. But he needs to not be supporting the killing of these people, for God's sake. Germany affirms Palestinian territorial rights amid border identity claims. Germany has reaffirmed its position that territories, we did not see this coming from Germany, right? That territories of Gaza, the West Bank, and East Jerusalem belong to the Palestinians. But I was told by all these Christian Zionists over here that Palestine didn't even never exist. And it's just all fake. Tell that to the Nazis in Germany. This stance has sparked a wave of discussions on social media where various users express that all of historical Palestine should be recognized. That map, I'm sure everybody's seen that map. I don't have it, but maybe they have it in this thread. You know, the map where it shows it steadily getting smaller and smaller. Where are we at here? It's already really freaking small right here, right? But can barely even see it right here on my map behind me. But there's old aardvark land, and carved out there, of course, is Palestine. But we've all seen that map where it's right there and it gets smaller and smaller with every attack, right? So they fixed this headline, which is correct, right? Trump proposes permanent displacement of Gazans as he welcomes Netanyahu to White House. And then, of course, they corrected it. Trump proposes ethnic cleansing of Gazans as he welcomes war criminal Netanyahu to White House, which is true. Sorry to say, as we are big fans of aardvarks on the show. But all that's true. Switzerland. So we may have to bomb Germany, Switzerland here now. Who was it the other day? New Zealand, I think, too. But now Switzerland. Switzerland has opened a criminal investigation into a suspected aardvark war criminal on its soil. And so we may have to bomb Switzerland now. And so as you can see, the world is, as we've seen at the ICC, the ICJ, and now individual countries. Who else was it? Ireland, I think. Spain. And so basically all of Europe, let's just say, except for UK, are a bunch of Nazis that hate the aardvarks. And so we need to go to war with them, probably. So here is, again, for those that missed it, and I caught it on yesterday's show. So we were right on the news watching that press conference. But here is the clip again of Trump talking about we're going to go ahead and take over the Gaza Strip there. None of our business, honestly, but and I didn't prep that, but now it comes to mind. Let's see what our good friends at AIPAC had to say. I'm sure they love bragging about it. Let's see what these jokers have to say, the unregistered foreign agents that we allow to run around our federal government and act like they own us. Let's see what they had to say here. They're always good for a laugh. Oh, well, thankfully, I'm proud to reintroduce, and of course they reposted this from Mike Lawler, and so he's proud to reintroduce the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act in the 119th Congress, and so we have to keep an eye on this. I'm sure any criticism of aardvarks will get you banned soon. And they'll come after you with the feds, too, as well here. So we're going to keep an eye on this Anti-Semitism Awareness Act. What else are they saying over here? Oh, yeah. Pete Hegseth. He's a good Christian Zionist, of course, the head of the Pentagon now, Secretary of Defense. Do they really believe this? Are they true believers in the Schofield Bible prophecy? And are they, well, I think we'll get to that. We have some reports about that. Are they attempting to fulfill the prophecy? We're back in the game. So maybe we will see the Armageddon sooner than later. And of course, they defunded. It's pretty, just everybody go to AIPAC here and you can go take a look if you can stomach it. Bragging how they own our government. Of course, Mike Huckabee, piece of trash right there. He says that Palestine never even existed. So he has amnesia of history, apparently. But pretty sickening. Probably the most sickening account on X is AIPAC right here. So we appreciate their efforts and public bragging about owning our federal government. It's very much appreciated there as an unregistered foreign agent. Any other country doing this and there'd be hell to pay, but these guys do it. It's the greatest thing ever. Of course it is. Here's again from the press conference yesterday with Trump and our shadow real president, Bibi Netanyahu.
The only reason the Palestinians want to go back to Gaza is they have no alternative. It's right now a demolition site. This is just a demolition site. Virtually every building is down. They're living under fallen concrete that's very dangerous and very precarious. They instead can occupy all of a beautiful area with homes and safety, and they can live out their lives in peace and harmony instead of having to go back and do it again. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job.
The real estate redevelopment plan, as we've continued to report here on Weaponized News. Let's hear from the Speaker of the House, Christian Zionist Mike Johnson.
Can you address this situation that President Trump is suggesting moving into Gaza? Is that an America First policy to send American soldiers into one of the most volatile regions in the world and then suggest that the U.S. take control of a region that it has no claim to?
Look, there'll be more details forthcoming on that, of course. The initial announcement yesterday, I think, was greeted by surprise by many, but cheered by, I think, people all around the world. Why? Because that area is so dangerous, and he's taking bold, decisive action to try to ensure the peace of that region. It's a bold move, certainly, far bolder than what's been done before, but I think we've got to stand unequivocally in an unwavering manner, as the whip said, with Israel, our closest ally and friend in the Middle East. And I think if we could bring control of that situation and bring about a lasting peace there, it would do well for everybody, not just in the region, but around the world. It's a volatile place. And I think the strong and decisive move is an important step in that regard. As was noted earlier, Prime Minister Netanyahu being the first international leader to meet with the president in the White House is more than symbolism, but it is a symbol. And it shows the world that we're not going to equivocate. The previous administration did that. They tried to appease Iran and by extension its proxies, terrorists, and they frankly encumbered Israel in so many times. You're seeing a reversal of that now. That is very important development. I think our allies around the world appreciate that. I know because I talked to lots of leaders around the world, and they've been very nervous about the instability there. I think this could be a bold step in that regard.
Let's withhold judgment. The Trump Gaza City Hotel and Casino. Well, what more could we want? Moving the Overton window for fun and profit. It's a pretty good, funny headline there. Yeah. Indeed. I think we have clip. This happened yesterday too. Netanyahu, well, I'll just put it on the screen here. Netanyahu gifts Trump golden pager in reference to Mossad op against Hezbollah. Trump calls it a great operation. It was essentially terrorism, right? And so how did they, did we ever figure out, I don't know if we did, trigger these pagers to explode? Was it through the batteries in them? Did they, I think one report said that they put explosives somewhere, was it in Poland, if I remember correctly? Somewhere in between the manufacturer and them actually receiving it. It was intercepted and explosives were placed in them. Something like this, if I'm remembering correctly. And they didn't know who was holding that pager, but who cares, right? And so truly sick war criminal giving another war criminal a golden pager. Very lovely and hilarious there. Okay, Francisca Albanese, UN Special Rapporteur to Gaza. She says she seems to be shadow banned. Well, welcome to the club, lady. Welcome to the club. She says the Riviera plan for Gaza is nonsense, which nonetheless must be taken very seriously. President Trump has basically declared his intention to commit the international crime of forced displacement and resort to unlawful use of force against the Palestinian people and their right to self-determination in violation of the UN Charter, amounting to aggression. The 191 members of the UN who still have an interest in protecting themselves from this madness better recover from their paralysis and stand against this imperial lawlessness. P.S. In case this plan won't work, how do I know? 76 years of failed attempts by aardvarks, including 16 months of genocidal assault. Indigenous people do not have to leave their land. This is funny from old, this guy says, he He says, watching liberals flip a switch and immediately pretend to be sympathetic toward Palestinians now that they lost power and need a reason to attack Trump is deeply creepy. Well, it's clown world. These same people didn't give a F during Biden's genocide. They are just robots with no morality, just blindly pursuing power. Yeah, it's clown world, as I was saying. They follow the current thing, hoaxes. They're not even mad about the right things that you should be mad about. And so they are NPC, clown world, non-player characters here. I think a lot of it is, though, still agitprop coming out of the U.S. government, at least the leaders of these protests for sure are feds, straight up. And they got a bunch of useful idiots to follow them around and protest the new current thing. Why weren't you? Viewers of Weaponized News know we've been against this from the very beginning, calling out October 7th as the false flag that it was. So we've been against it when Biden's doing it. We've been against it when Trump's doing it. We'll be against it when the next president's doing it, and so on and so on. And done the deep dive to show that in large part it's those who we don't even see in the UK that are actually pulling the marionette strings on this whole debacle. Okay. The Anglo-American Venetian establishment, to be even more precise. Pro-Palestinian protesters outside the White House during our shadow president's visit. Let's watch this. It's pretty some good video here.
Hey, give us your money! It's ours, all of it! We want your money! Give us more bombs! Give us your money! Give us your money! Give us that political cover! Yeah! You did that! You did that! You did that! That we couldn't have had all that money running without you! Thank you, America! Give us more money! Thank you, America! We couldn't do it without you! This way, America! This way, America! Give us that money! This way, America! This way, America! Fuck you, America! On your knees, come this way! Come this way! No, to me! No, to me! No, we need it! No, we over here! Over here! Ethnic cleansing, that's our name! Guys, don't go too hard. We gotta keep the facility. We gotta keep holding it up. Keep holding it up. Keep holding it up. Try to break loose. Guys, we gotta keep the pretense up. You're ours. You're our bitch. You're our bitch. Come this way, America. You're our bitch and you know it. You're our last dog. So what the hell are you doing? Come this way. More money, more bombs. More money, more bombs. Come this way for Gaza. Come this way for Gaza.
At least they're protesting in front of the right place there, but none of them are pointing out the fact of the Anglo-American Venetian establishment. Trump shares video saying the bonds between America and aardvark people are absolutely unbreakable. Let's watch this short clip of propaganda from Trump.
Today, I'm delighted to welcome Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu back to the White House. Bibi, I want to say it's an honor to have you with us. In my first term, Prime Minister and I forged a tremendously successful partnership that brought peace and stability to the Middle East. Together, we defeated ISIS. We ended the disastrous Iran nuclear deal, one of the worst deals ever made. The bonds of friendship and affection between the American and Israeli people have endured for generations, and they are absolutely unbreakable. They are unbreakable.
And so that's heartwarming from President Trump. Old Al Green, but same problem, right? Why didn't you impeach Biden when he was doing the same damn thing? But was it 2 weeks and they're bringing articles of impeachment against Trump? Al Green, Democrat representative out of Texas. Let's watch this. Is that out of Texas? Yeah, Houston. Yeah, Texas. But it's just shallow here because you should have brought the same articles of impeachment against your Democrat President Biden.
That I will bring articles of impeachment against the president for dastardly deeds proposed and dastardly deeds done. I also rise to say that the impeachment movement is going to be a grass-up movement, not a top-down. The people have got to move forward. The people have to demand it. And when the people that I will bring articles.
Seriously, dude. Okay. Good luck with that when AIPAC owns the Congress. Good luck impeaching him over aardvarks. That's going nowhere. Let's see a flashback of Trump's son-in-law here, Jared Kushner, talking about the greater aardvark land real estate redevelopment project that he's going to have a hand in. I think we played this clip when it came out, but let's play it again to remind our viewers.
In Gaza's waterfront property, it could be very valuable to if people would focus on kind of building up livelihoods. You think about all the money that's gone into this tunnel network and into all the munitions. If that would have gone into education or innovation, what could have been done? And so I think that it's a little bit of an unfortunate situation there. But I think from Israel's perspective, I would do my best to move the people out and then clean it up. But I don't think that Israel has stated that they don't want the people to move back there afterward. The thing that I would try to do if I was Israel right now is I would just bulldoze something in the Negev. I would try to move people in there. I know that won't be the popular thing to do, but I think that that's a better option to do so that you can go in and finish the job.
It's a waterfront property. Aardvarks withdraw from the UN Human Rights Council. And so aardvarks welcome President Trump's decision not to participate in the UN Human Rights Council. So aardvarks are removing themselves from it, as you can see here. The Human Rights Council has traditionally protected human rights abusers by allowing them to hide from scrutiny and instead obsessively demonizes the one democracy in the Middle East, aardvark land. This body has focused on attacking a democratic country, and propagating anti-Semitism, of course, instead of promoting human rights. The discrimination against us is clear. The Human Rights Council, aardvark land, is the only country with an agenda item dedicated solely to it. Aardvark land has been subjected to over 100 condemnatory resolutions, over 20% of all resolutions ever passed in the council, more than against Iran, Cuba, North Korea, Venezuela combined. Aardvark land will not accept this discrimination any longer. Sorry for the dog, man. Security dog. Quiet. Sorry about that. Let's see here. The natives are getting restless, it seems, as we're almost at 2 hours. I think that's almost all I had. We still had a little bit more. Hey, calm down there, Brooklyn. Middle East powers reject. So it's being widely rejected by Saudi Arabia, the rest of the Middle East here. Let's see. Well, Pete Hegseth, as I said, the Secretary of Defense now, Christian Zionist, he's all for the third temple. The dog knows taxation is theft. Indeed, he does. Let's hear. Well, this is part of the bigger plan to bring about the second coming, to fulfill the prophecy. Let's see this flashback from Pete Hegseth about the third temple there. That is still in play here now. And by all, it looks like they are hell-bent one way or another about building that third temple of Solomon to fulfill the fake prophecy.
Chance to go see the western wall of the Temple Mount, the western wall tunnels, so much of the old city. And as you stand there, you can't help but behold the miracle before you. And it got me thinking about another miracle that I hope all of you don't see too far away. Because 1917 was a miracle, 1948 was a miracle, 1967 was a miracle, 2017, the declaration of Jerusalem as the capital was a miracle, and there's no reason why the miracle of the reestablishment of the temple on the Temple Mount is not possible.
Jesus Christ. These guys are religious fanatics, and everybody should be extremely concerned about what they're proposing here with this guy, Pete Hegseth, as the Secretary of Defense here now. I don't know if they're true believers, homicidal maniacs. Does it even matter if they're hell-bent on fulfilling this prophecy starting Armageddon to bring about the Antichrist and the second coming of Christ according to their fake prophecy? They will start a third world war and try to kill everybody. It's literally insane. And now they have their hands on the levers of power. So it should be extremely concerning to everyone that that's where we're at here now. And I think I'm going to wrap up the show with that. Yeah, let's wrap it up there. And I had a couple more clips, but I think I'm good. I got to take care of my dog here. But let me go over to the channels. Thank you, all you gentlemen in the chat over there on the yeah, thank you, Barry, for telling me about the Facebook. I don't know what Fedbook is, what their problem is going on there. Says I'm streaming here. I don't know. Says I'm streaming to Fedbook, so I don't know. I'll have to check it out. But thank you for letting me know and monitoring the streams there. Let me go to the channels. Everybody on the YouTube. Barry's the only one there in the chat. I don't know why they don't chat on the YouTube. I see people watching. Thank you guys for tuning in on the YouTube. Thank you, Barry, for being in that chat. Let's see where we at. The Rumble chat. Let's go through the Rumble chat. Ruckus, thank you. Carrie, thank you. Yes, thank you. Keep sending me the articles there, Carrie. She says she sends me articles she reads from California news. Thank you. I'm sorry. I tried to get to a couple of them that one day. There's so much freaking information here we had to cover, as you could see. Hopefully it slows down a little bit. Let's see here. It says website Space Weather News on YouTube. 6 minutes every morning. Maybe I'll have to check those out. I'll have to check out Space Weather News. Carrie said on the Rumble chat. I'm just going to put that right here in my notes and continue. Okay, Gunter, thank you for tuning in there. Time for Mitch McConnell to have a permanent, well, he's already having permanent accidents. He needs to retire, man. Tired of seeing elder abuse by our government. Let old Mitch McConnell retire to the farm with his stolen, corrupt blood money. Actually, he should be indicted. I don't know what's going to do for a vegetable at this point, looking like that's what Mitch McConnell, but I'm sure he'll still be voting pro-aardvark, right? And all the other corruption. MG, thank you for tuning in there. Let's see. Yeah, I did see David Martin on InfoWars there, Carrie. I did see that. Where he's talking about all the big missing money, and they're going to collapse the global economy, and they don't have the money for the Social Security. Yeah, I had David Martin on this show before. We did have him on, and so that was a great guest there. Talking all about the bat disease and the patents and all this, but yeah, I did see that him warning about the collapse coming here now. Let's see, what else did we got? Yeah, another plug for the Jones plantation there. Let's see. Wow, quite a chat there. Thank you guys for chatting it up on the Rumble channel. Appreciate it. Okay, tuning in over to the BitChute again. Someday, some way, BitChute will have a live chat feature for us. Thank you for tuning in on the BitChute. The Rockfin. Over to the Rockfin. It looks like a new person. Shout out to Sean. Thank you, Sean. Igeo. Thank you for subscribing on the YouTube. Appreciate it. Sorry for mispronouncing your name. Crossley. Thank you for chatting and tuning in on the Rockfin and the YouTube subscription. John. Gene. Octo. Yeah. Alex Jones has been saying fluoride is bad for a very long time. It's very true. He has been warning about the fluoride for a long time. Suicide bombing kids forgot to bomb. From Octo. Yes, kill the CIA like JFK wanted. They're not going to kill any of these agencies. They're going to reorganize them, allegedly telling us they're getting rid of the bad people. But they need to people need to go to prison for all this fraud, all the like unlimited crimes. A lot of people need to go to prison, and then maybe we could have some honest government, if that's possible. I have my doubts, but they need to at least put the fear of God into them and make them see that you can't just run wild, unlimited crimes against the American people and the rest of the world, for that matter, and just laugh about it and spit in everybody's face and censor us and ban us and arrest us and run clandestine operations against us. And it's just, people have to be punished here now. And at least that will hopefully make them, hopefully make them back off a little bit here now. But thank you guys for tuning in on the Rockfin. Much appreciated over there. And of course, the Facebook. Thank you guys for tuning in on the the Facebook for whatever, however that is going. Barry said the feed cut. So, but if you're on the Facebook, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in on the X, and of course the YouTube. Thank you guys for keeping that chat lively. I tried to share as much as I could and blast through as much news as I could today for you all. Again, thank you guys for joining Weaponized News on this Wednesday edition. As always, everybody do your own research. Peace, love, and liberty. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Wednesday evening. And here upon Barry's request, and I think important to keep our eye and lobby for all of these freedom fighter libertarian types who have been persecuted by the federal government. And it's a lot more than just these guys. They've managed to get out there on the big stage, but there's a lot of people, a lot of people falsely imprisoned, being persecuted by the federal government right now, that it needs to stop. But here's a face of it on Tucker Carlson. Interview with Roger Ver, and you can hear his story, and let's get him free and everybody else oppressed by the United States government. So thank you for joining us again, and here is that interview with Tucker Carlson and Roger Ver to play us out. I'll see you back here tomorrow for more Weaponized News.
The period that you're being charged with evading American taxes, you are not a U.S. citizen. And so whenever I see a story that says the U.S. government is extraditing somebody for tax evasion to put him in prison for 109 years, my first thought is maybe it's not really about the taxes. Maybe there's something more to this story. Could there be another reason the U.S. government is angry at you and wants to put you in prison for the rest of your life?
Yeah, to be honest, I think they're not really angry about taxes at all. I think they're just angry about my lack of obedience and lack of, kissing their ring. I was the first person in the entire world to start investing in the Bitcoin ecosystem and investing in businesses that made it easy for people to use Bitcoin as money and as cash for people all over the world. And I was promoting it since 2011 as, hey, stop using the US dollar, stop using euros, stop using yen, start using Bitcoin. We have an alternative in which each individual anywhere on the planet can be in charge of their own money completely without needing permission from any politician or any government anywhere in the world. And when you're a government that loves controlling people through the control of the money supply, that's very, very threatening to their control of the world. So, of course, they didn't like that at all. And I knew that this sort of thing was dangerous. And I thought the safest path for me would be to not be a U.S. citizen. So in 2014, I renounced my U.S. citizenship and became a citizen of the world effectively. But my new nationality is St. Kitts, which is a wonderful little island in the Caribbean. And I thought that would be safe for me, and I could promote Bitcoin from there and obey. Even though I may disagree with plenty of laws, I do my best to obey them because I know when you're advocating for things that change the world, governments don't like that and they can come after you. So I told all my tax attorneys and everybody else, we have to do everything perfect so that there's no room for the U.S. government to give me a hard time about any of this. And more than a decade after I had already renounced my U.S. citizenship, and just a couple of weeks after I published a book on the hijacking of Bitcoin, how it no longer works as peer-to-peer cash for the world, and it's been morphed into something that's just a digital asset that people are speculating on the price on rather than something that can compete with the U.S. dollar and the euro and the yen for use as currency around the world. Suddenly, right after my book gets published that exposes how people claiming to work for intelligence agencies hijack Bitcoin to do that, suddenly I get arrested and tossed in jail in Spain and trying to be extradited to face more than 100 years in prison. I'm 45 today. I think my odds of being alive with conventional technology in 109 years from now aren't looking too good. So effectively to die in prison is what they want because they're so upset about the things I've been saying and the way I've been promoting cryptocurrency around the world. As the founder of Bitcoin.com, co-founder of XRP and Blockchain.com and a bunch of other companies, I literally seeded the entire first generation of cryptocurrency companies. And so they're furious at me for trying to have something that can compete with the US dollar as the world's medium of exchange and currency.
Now, I should just add an editorial comment. I mean, I am an American citizen and will remain one, I hope. So I'm not against the U.S. dollar in principle. It's the mismanagement of the U.S. dollar, I think, by the people in charge of it, the U.S. government, the Federal Reserve, has made it kind of a sketchy proposition long term. It's like their mismanagement has forced people to think about alternatives. And one of the most promising alternatives was Bitcoin. And it was, I remember very well, since I'm 55, when it first appeared, the idea was this is a way for people to conduct business, to buy goods and services without being controlled, to have, as you said, control over their own money, autonomy. And it has become instead this asset class. And I'm very interested in how exactly that happened. And so if you wouldn't mind explaining the thesis of your book, what you saw, how that happened. You say subterfuge by the intel agencies played a role. I'll stop talking and let you explain what you saw.
Yeah, I think to get started on that, we'll have to back up more than 25 years ago. So when I was a very young man, I ran for political office as a libertarian in California and called for, lower taxes, less government in every area and everywhere. And this was in the year 2000. And for those of us that are old enough to remember, in the late 1990s, there was an incident in Waco, Texas, where there's a religious group there with, a bunch of adults, but a bunch of kids, some of them, 3, 4, 5 years old, like little kids. And even if the parents were religious nuts, the ATF and FBI literally burnt to death everybody in their home there and then posed for photos on top of the corpses of little kids. And that sort of thing is not okay. And the FBI and ATF are a bunch of murderers for murdering kids. And even if the parents are, doing something illegal, you don't murder the kids over that. And that's exactly what they did. And so in the debate with the Republican and the Democratic candidates, I called the ATF a bunch of murderers that they are for having done that. And boy, did they not like that. I was a 21-year-old kid that had 7 or 8 employees. My business was starting to take off. And I wound up being the only person in the entire world to be prosecuted for selling a firecracker on eBay, even though tons of other resellers were selling it. Cabela's sporting goods catalog was selling it. These were being sold all over the place. I was literally the only person in the entire history of the world to be prosecuted for selling those without a permit. And it wasn't about the fact that I had sold them without a permit. It was they were mad about the things that I had said. And they even said as much in one of the discussions with my attorneys and the prosecutors and the ATF agents. The ATF agent literally at one point, he pounded his hand on the table and said, "You didn't hear the things that he said," referring to me calling them murderers for literally. And if you burn to death a bunch of kids, you're a murderer. And that's exactly what they did. And so I wound up actually signing a plea deal to do 10 months in federal prison. If I had taken it to trial and lost, which I would have because I was guilty of the laws written, I sold firecrackers without a license. I would have done 7 or 8 years in prison. And so at that point, I no longer felt safe in the U.S. I had been, politically persecuted already. And so literally the day I was allowed to leave the U.S., I left. But the way I became a libertarian, I wasn't born a libertarian. Somehow I found a book by Ludwig von Mises and then, found some Milton Friedman and then later David Friedman. And then Murray Rothbard is the author that really changed my life. And it was just music to my ears recently hearing Millet down in Argentina talking about how Murray Rothbard was also one of the economists that influenced his life the most. And I want to urge anybody, pick up anything by Murray Rothbard. It'll change your entire view of the world. But in these books on economics, I learned about the origin of money and how something comes to be used as money. And it has to be durable, easily divisible. It has to be portable. It has to be easily recognizable. It has to be difficult to counterfeit. It has to have these certain characteristics that make it usable as money. And so when I read these economics books, I thought, okay, that makes sense. That sounds plausible. But then when I went to federal prison, inside prison, everybody's using things as money. Everybody's buying and selling things with each other. And the things they're using are tobacco, postage stamps, and top ramen soups. And if you think about it, all those things have those characteristics. They're easily transportable. They're durable. They're easily recognizable. They all have some additional use case, right? You can mail a letter. You can eat the soup. You can smoke the tobacco. And all those things just naturally, without any order from a guard or any inmate or anybody, they just naturally come to be used as money. And so then when we fast forward more than a decade later there, Bitcoin came along. And I had the theoretical knowledge from the books that I had read, and I had the practical experience from my time in prison. There was no doubt in my mind whatsoever that people were going to start using Bitcoin as money. And so I thought, oh, this is every libertarian's dream come true. Suddenly now we're going to have a choice. And I'm not against the US dollar or the yen or the euro. I'm pro-choice. I think people should be able to choose what form of money they want to use. And whether it's the dollar, the euro, or the yen, or Bitcoin, or some other cryptocurrency out there, I think people deserve the right to have that choice. And I want to see that enabled. And so when Bitcoin came along, the first step was for me to buy a bunch of Bitcoin. I bought my first Bitcoin when they were less than $1 each. And then my business, memorydealers.com, became the first established business in the entire world to start accepting Bitcoin for payments. And we started advertising, we accept Bitcoin. Not a single customer paid us initially in Bitcoin, but it got worldwide media attention for the first time. And I remember it was in June of 2011. And in the course of 2, maybe 3 weeks, the price of Bitcoin went from around $3 a Bitcoin to $30 a Bitcoin. And that was the first time in the history of Bitcoin up to that point in which it started to get some worldwide media attention. And what an interesting thing happened. So the main discussion forum where everybody up to that point was talking about Bitcoin was a website called bitcointalk.org. And suddenly when it was getting some media attention around the world and international newspapers, this forum that had worked wonderfully up to that point where people could discuss things became flooded with bots, just posting comments that were just, fluff and made literally, they DDoSed the forum to the point that it was unusable. And anybody that came there because they heard about Bitcoin in the media that week, they weren't able to learn about it because there was just so many posts saying, buy, sell, oh no, and just saying nothing of any substance whatsoever. So somebody out there literally made the forum unusable as early as 2011. And around that same time, we already know that the CIA was interested in Bitcoin because they were asking different Bitcoin developers to, hey, can you explain Bitcoin to us? So way back when the vast majority of the world hadn't even heard of Bitcoin yet, the CIA was looking into it, and somebody was actively preventing it from spreading as quickly as it otherwise could have by shutting down the forum effectively when so many new people were coming to Bitcoin to learn about it for the first time. And in the early days, everybody knew, though, Bitcoin was supposed to be money for the world. Bitcoin was supposed to be used for payments as peer-to-peer cash for the world. And that's how people were using it. And, I was doing payroll in it and I was paying my suppliers overseas. I hosted the first Bitcoin meetup ever in China about it. Like I was really doing my best to spread this all over the world, including, paying for national radio ads for it. Like it was really, really spreading. But then later in, I believe, 2012, a person using the name John Dillon, who claimed to work for intelligence, spent more than $10,000. I forget the exact amount, but a significant sum of money to start producing propaganda to trick people into thinking that by keeping the blocks on Bitcoin small, it would make it more decentralized. And literally the exact opposite of the truth, the exact opposite of the way Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin, designed it and promoted it, and the exact opposite of the way that people were using it. And nobody believed the propaganda initially. But then later, this giant wave of censorship took place. Anonymous people that nobody knows their real names managed to get control of all the main discussion platforms for Bitcoin. And then suddenly, one day overnight, nobody was even allowed to advocate for Bitcoin being used as money. And they censored anybody that tried to do that. And initially, everybody saw through it. But then everybody that came to Bitcoin after the censorship began, they just started believing it. And today, the main people that are out there promoting Bitcoin, they literally say, oh, Bitcoin shouldn't compete with the US dollar. Bitcoin, you shouldn't use it as money. You shouldn't use it to pay for things. Like Bitcoin is just a digital asset. You should just hold it. And it's the exact opposite. They've through the censorship and the propaganda, they've literally hijacked Bitcoin. And I literally wrote an entire book about it. You can find more at hijackingbitcoin.com. It's available on Amazon and everywhere else. And lo and behold, just a couple of weeks after the book is published, I get arrested, and now I'm facing 109 years in federal prison for having exposed the way in which Bitcoin was hijacked. And you can think all day long that the new version of Bitcoin that people are promoting is better. Okay, but you can't admit that it wasn't hijacked. And luckily now we have thousands of different cryptocurrencies, and I support competition, right? I was never a Bitcoin maximalist or any other cryptocurrency maximalist. I'm a utilitarian freedom maximalist. Whatever gives the most utility and is the most useful for the most people around the world to improve their lives and create more economic freedom that leads to more economic growth, that's what I want to be out there and promote to the world.
So a bunch of questions, but let's just begin with the core promise of Bitcoin, as we both remember vividly, was that I would be able to conduct transactions, buy goods and services privately without federal control. That there was anonymity because it was digital. And I could sort of have freedom in the things that I bought. How exactly did they control conversation about that? You say that they censored the discussion boards. Can you explain exactly how that works?
So there were two main discussion platforms where everybody was talking about Bitcoin. And that one was called bitcointalk.org. And then another was our Bitcoin on Reddit. And everybody was busy talking about Bitcoin in those places. And the same anonymous individual managed to get moderatorship position or ownership of both of those forums. And one day he decided to turn on the censorship, and they would ban anybody that would state anything that wasn't in line with the small block propaganda about Bitcoin. And when the censorship first began, people started a thread on Reddit complaining about the censorship. At that point, it was the most upvoted thread ever in the entire history of that Bitcoin subreddit. And what did they do? They then deleted that post as well and banned the people that were participating in that post. And the censorship still goes on to this very day. If you go on our Bitcoin or bitcointalk.org and post anything in favor of Bitcoin being able to scale to be money for the world, they will ban your account. And it's really, really a shame, because so the average person that's involved in Bitcoin today, they just see, oh, the price is about $100,000 each. And Michael Saylor's talking about, pay your taxes and don't be inflammatory. Don't compete with the US dollar. That's going to make Visa and MasterCard and the government angry. Don't do any of that. He's saying literally the exact opposite of what everybody was saying in the beginning of Bitcoin, which is like, this finally gives people a choice as to what form of money they were to use. And so imagine if everybody was using Bitcoin as money in commerce to, do their payroll and buy things online and pay for everything. How would the U.S. government be able to give billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine when most people don't want that to happen? How would they be able to spend billions and billions of dollars on all these foreign wars that most people don't want to be able to have happen? They wouldn't be able to just inflate it out of thin air. Suddenly, government would be much, much more accountable to the people. And, they teach everybody in school, oh, government works for the people. Well, if people were using a hard asset cryptocurrency as money in everyday life, government really would have to be much more accountable to the people than they are today. And that's why government doesn't want that. So that's why they've been doing everything they can to subvert Bitcoin and prevent people from being able to use cryptocurrencies as money in daily life, whether it's from tax policy or tax reporting or exit taxes or anything else. They're making it as difficult as possible. In fact, even the people that are in the studio here that we're recording this with, I offered to pay them in cryptocurrency. The reason they didn't want it is because they're scared of the tax ramifications around it, because government's going to lose control of the money supply. And if they lose control of the money supply, they lose control of most of their control of society. But if you believe in individual rights and individual freedom and people being in charge of their own destiny, it's a wonderful thing when government loses the ability to control people's lives. And that's why I'm so excited about Bitcoin. And I've been involved almost 15 years, and I've been promoting cryptocurrencies as currency for people worldwide, whether you're stuck in Spain awaiting extradition or in the US or anywhere else on the planet. Cryptocurrencies is for everybody. And they need to go head to head and compete with the US dollar and the euro and the yen and the ruble and everything else. Because when people have more choices, their lives are better off, and it results in more economic freedom. More economic freedom results in more economic growth, and more economic growth raises everybody's standard of living, which literally makes every single person's life on the planet better off. And that's why it's such an exciting thing for me to be involved in. And that's why I'm doing it despite risking 109 years in federal prison for just telling people about these amazing ideas and technologies.
Now, we've told you before about a staff favorite here at TCN, the 8 Sleep Pod. What is it? It's a high-tech mattress that we talk about over lunch here, our mattresses, because this one is excellent. It's high-tech. It's a cover. It goes right over your existing bed. Well, this Christmas, you can get it for the best price of the year, up to $600 off. The 8 Sleep Pod works by adjusting the temperature, warmer or cooler, depending on your preference, and it maintains an ideal sleeping network all night long. Now, you might not know this, but through different phases of sleep, every night your body's needs change. Sometimes you want it warmer, sometimes colder. That's why you throw the sheets off. That's why you pull them around you at other parts of the night. You don't have to do that anymore with 8 Sleep, because it automatically keeps things exactly where you want them throughout your entire night's sleep, what's called the sleep cycle. And it's been studied. It's clinically proven to increase quality sleep time every night. That improves your recovery time from physical exertion, makes you a little sharper, makes your health better. It learns and adapts to your sleep patterns over time, and it automatically adjusts temperatures throughout the night through each phase of your sleep. And it does this independently for up to 2 people in a bed. So each person can have a tailor-made sleep. It really helps. People here absolutely love it. 8 Sleep. Go to 8sleep.com/Tucker. Use the promo code Tucker to get up to $600 off the Pod 4 Ultra. You can try it with no obligation for 30 days. If you don't like it, just send it back. That's 8sleep.com/Tucker. Better sleep, truly.
Strong families are built on strong foundations, and it all begins with what you bring into your home. It's hard, though, because Big Pharma and the processed food industry have spent decades putting you and your loved ones at risk, pushing toxic, harmful products that make you sick, that have made our country sick. It's not a guess. That's happened. So it's well past time that someone decided to help you fight back. Public Square is doing that. Public Square is the leading family marketplace where you will find clean, healthy products sourced from American small businesses that actually share your values. With Christmas right around the corner, now is the time to abandon the corporate food conglomerates in favor of something better, healthier, more pure. Make the switch. Stock your home with the quality essentials and shop for gifts your whole family will love. And it's easy. PublicSquare.com/Tucker. And you can get started. PublicSquare.com/Tucker. So the original promise was Bitcoin will make you free, and then it became quickly through subversion, Bitcoin will make you rich. And that was enough to kind of derail the promise. I should note that you are rich from Bitcoin. I mean, and you could very easily kind of not say anything and just be happily rich with Bitcoin because you bought a lot of it early. And so it sounds like your ideological commitment is overriding your financial interests.
It's not even close for me. So I was a multimillionaire before Bitcoin had ever even been invented. I had my own tech companies in Silicon Valley that had done very well for me. Lots of people talk about, win Lambo and I'm going to sell my Bitcoin and buy a Lambo. I had multiple Lamborghinis before Bitcoin had ever even been invented. When Bitcoin came along, I was such a big believer in Bitcoin that I sold my Lamborghini to buy more Bitcoin. That's how excited I was about this philosophically and emotionally and intellectually, because this is literally one of the best tools the world has ever seen to give individuals more control over their own lives. And so I was headed in the exact opposite direction of most of the people that are involved in Bitcoin today. I was selling things to buy more Bitcoin because I knew this was going to become money for the world. And today, maybe it'll be Bitcoin, maybe it'll be a different cryptocurrency, but cryptocurrencies are still certainly the way of the future. And remember, today is 2024. When Bitcoin first came out, there was no Apple Pay, there was no Zelle, there was barely any of this thing. Like there was almost no competition, but government successfully delayed the adoption of cryptocurrencies so that now suddenly the traditional financial systems had a chance to catch up and get a lot more done. And it's just really, really frustrating because life is short. As anybody, as each year goes by, they go by faster and faster, and there's less and less of each of our lifespans left. We need the benefits brought by cryptocurrency as soon as possible. And we know all the benefits for the world as soon as possible. Like, let's not waste time. Yet that's exactly what governments around the world have been doing. They've been delaying and hindering the adoption of cryptocurrency as money, which is literally delaying the progress of all of humankind and all of human society. And it's really frustrating to see that happen.
The most frustrating part from my perspective is the inability to use cryptocurrency apparently with any privacy. I mean, that is the core promise. I earned the money, didn't do anything wrong, and I would like to buy something that's sort of no one's business, whether I'm buying it or not. And I would like to do that in privacy. I don't think that's a weird thing to want. It's a human thing to want. And is that possible? Is my question. Is it now possible to conduct any kind of business with crypto anonymously?
So in the early days, everybody thought Bitcoin was basically anonymous and people treated it that way. And then websites came up that were selling things that governments might not necessarily want you to buy. And people were using Bitcoin for that because they thought it was basically anonymous. And then later on, we found out that it wasn't anonymous at all, but additional steps were taken to make Bitcoin even less anonymous. And today, most people are just using custodial wallets, which are, it's not even a wallet. It's just an account, and it's no more private than your, Bank of America or PayPal account. And in fact, it's even less private than those things because anybody can take a look at the blockchain and see what's there. But luckily, there's other cryptocurrencies out there that do give people more privacy. So there's things like Monero, which most people are now using if they want some privacy. But there's even more exciting technologies and coins out there. There's another one called Zeno that allows anybody to create their own privacy token in which nobody can see what's going on. And if you really want to get the three-letter agencies upset or governments upset, there's a project called Confidential Layer, which is creating a bridge from Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Ethereum onto Zeno. So you can take Bitcoin with no privacy at all or Ethereum with no privacy at all and bridge it permissionlessly with no custodian and no central point of attack onto Zeno. And when it's on Zeno, you have very, very strong privacy with that as well. And so I think that's going to make a whole lot more privacy come to the entire cryptocurrency ecosystem. But governments are going to hate that. Like Monero that I mentioned before, it's preemptively banned from being listed on most exchanges in most of the world at this point. And that's simply because governments have much less of an ability to spy on people that are using things like Monero or Zeno. And that's why I'm a big fan of things like Monero or Zeno today. But in fact, today, I would be embarrassed to promote. I am embarrassed to promote Bitcoin to people today because the transactions are slow, expensive, unreliable, and you have no privacy. I would be proud to promote something like a Monero or a Zeno or a Zcash or a Zcoin or any of these privacy tools out there because those are the ones that provide more individual control to people and more privacy and more economic freedom to people over the world. people are claiming that Bitcoin is freedom money, but I'm really afraid that they're literally building the financial prison walls around themselves. Like if you look at what's going on in El Salvador, everybody's excited about Bitcoin there, but they're all using custodial accounts that the government can see every single transaction you're making, and they can freeze your account at any time. That's the exact opposite of economic freedom. That's economic government control. And so anybody that's paying attention should be really, really concerned about this, and they should be advocating the use of cryptocurrencies in which individuals can actually have control of their own money and have control over their own lives, their own destiny. And maybe that'll be Bitcoin, thanks to this new technology called confidential layer that bridges it onto Zano. But and I don't know what it's going to be, but like we need to be really, really careful because it could wind up that before we know it and before we realize it, we've built the financial prison walls around us, and it's too late to get out and too late to escape. So let's be aware of this today and watch out.
A lot of people in the crypto world, I think, are admirable people. I'm friends with some of them. One you mentioned, actually, people I like and admire and largely agree with. But I'm a little bit confused as to why you're the only person I've ever heard say what you just said. Why aren't the people promoting various cryptocurrencies also sounding the alarm that none of the transactions you conduct using these currencies are private? In fact, they're very easily trackable by government. Why is nobody saying that?
Because the censorship and propaganda works. Lots of people are saying that, but very few people other than myself have a big enough platform or a loud enough voice to get much attention. And because I had such a big, platform and big voice, boom, suddenly I'm looking at 109 years in prison. I don't think that's a coincidence at all. And again, if the solution to ideas or people saying things that you don't agree with is more debate and more discussion and more free speech, whereas the most of the people promoting Bitcoin at this point, they've taken the exact opposite. They've been supporting the propaganda and the censorship, which, I'm on the exact opposite. And in fact, initially when the debate started happening as to what should be the proper scaling method for Bitcoin, my heart was already on what was called like the big block side, but I wanted to be open to the other arguments. And so I was just quiet and started listening. And as I tried to listen, suddenly one side started to try and censor the other side. And I already knew I was on the side of free speech. And so as soon as one side tried to censor the other side, I knew, okay, it's time for me to speak up now. I'm on the side of free speech, and I'm on the side of Bitcoin being able to scale in the original way that the Bitcoin white paper described as peer-to-peer cash for the entire world. That's very different than just this speculative asset. And everyone today is excited. Bitcoin's about almost $100,000. Maybe it would have been $100,000 half a decade ago if it hadn't been hijacked and hadn't been destroyed in its usefulness as cash for the world. So you need to look at what's seen and what's not seen. And what we see today, okay, it's close to $100,000. What's not seen is what it could have been if companies like Microsoft and Expedia and these other big companies around the world didn't have to stop accepting Bitcoin because of its slow transaction fees, slow transaction times, and unreliable transactions and lack of privacy as well. So it's really disappointing. But thank you for giving me a platform to help sound the alarm, because I don't want to see the entire world wind up imprisoning themselves inside of some sort of a financial prison that they're building, even if it has a cool sounding name like Bitcoin.
Who is Satoshi?
I don't know. And if anybody knows, I'm not aware of that, but whoever he is or wherever he is, he literally invented one of the most important things in the entire history of humankind, up there on par with how important the invention of electricity or the transistor or the internet was. It really is one of the most world-changing technologies ever. And so whoever he is, wherever he is, or they are, or she is, they deserve their privacy, because clearly that's what they want.
So it doesn't sound like you're suspicious that Bitcoin was created by the intel agencies as a kind of trap for people.
I don't think it was created that way initially, but I am suspicious, and I do think that the intel agencies and other groups have converted it and hijacked it into becoming a financial trap.
I just want to apologize. By the way, I was laughing off camera, saying you're so great at explaining this. No wonder they want to put you in prison. I shouldn't have laughed at that. It's sort of an awful thing to say, because they actually are trying to put you in prison. And so rather than making fun of something so awful, I would love to know if you think you're actually going to go to prison. I mean, is there any way to stop this?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to stop this, but the most useful way, I think, is to get the public to speak out, right? Like, the more people that speak out, the safer all of us can be. And so one of the most egregious things here too is like the IRS with guns on their hips. They literally showed up at my attorney's office and my accountant's office. They raided my attorney's office, right? You're not supposed to be able to do that in the US. Like, you're supposed to be able to talk to your attorneys, and that's supposed to be private. And so all the information is available over at a website that supporters set up at freerogernow.org. They recently filed what's called a motion to dismiss, where you can literally see with your own eyes the U.S. government is literally lying in their indictment, and the proof is up there with the emails between myself and my attorneys. You can go and see. Please go take a look at it. Don't take my word for it. Like, take a look at that motion to dismiss. They're lying. They're lying to the court in Spain. They're just lying every which way because they don't want the world to know the truth about cryptocurrencies, that they can be used to empower individuals to have control over their own lives beyond the control of politicians who have never met you, and they don't know about you in your life, and most of them don't care about you one bit. So like, the fact that now people anywhere on the planet have access to money that they can use it to escape inflation, or they can use it to escape other, oppressionary tactics. Cryptocurrency is an amazing, amazing tool for freedom around the world. And governments are the opposite of freedom. They don't like people having more freedom, and that's why they don't like cryptocurrency, and that's why they're trying to shut me up. I wish I had even more hard proof, but I don't think it's a coincidence. They arrested me as soon as my book came out, and I was about to go on a big media tour promoting the fact that Bitcoin has been hijacked. And suddenly they have me arrested and tossed into jail for a month in Barcelona, and they were furious that I got out on bail. But this is the first media interview I've done since I've been out. I've been out over 6 months now. This is a really, really big deal for the entire world. This isn't just an American thing. This is literally affects every single person on the planet. And so like another example of that is, Apple. People all over the world use iPhones. Apple's an American company, but it affects every single person on the planet. Every year, new Apple products come out. People all over the planet that aren't Americans also get to benefit from it. Americans get to benefit from it. Everybody gets to benefit from it. It's the same with cryptocurrencies. Everybody on the planet, even if it's somebody working on it in the US or Spain or somewhere else, everybody on the planet gets to benefit from it. And by benefit from it, I mean they get to have more control over their own lives, their own finances, their own financial sovereignty. Governments hate that. That's why they're trying to stop it. And that's why they don't want you to read Hijacking Bitcoin, so you can hear with citations for everything how Bitcoin was hijacked. And people are promoting it today as literally the exact opposite of what it started out as.
Do you remember when Democrats used to refer to abortion as something that should be safe, legal, and rare? Well, they've changed their view on that. It went from a right to a sacrament. This isn't the pro-choice movement you may remember from 30 years ago. This is something much darker. And that's why we have joined forces with Preborn. They're a sponsor of the show and of our speaking tour to do something about it. It's the largest pro-life organization in the United States. And they are doing what they should do, which is speaking up against this atrocity. Killing babies after birth? No one seems to have the bravery to call that wrong, which it is. But Preborn is calling it out. Their networks of clinics are positioned in the highest abortion areas in the country, and they've rescued 300,000 babies. When a woman considering an abortion searches to end her baby's life, Preborn is there. The power of ultrasound combined with the love of God doubles the baby's chance of being born. A single ultrasound costs $28. 5 ultrasounds are $140. Giving women the information they need to make the decision that many of them actually want to make, to have a baby. Any gift will help, and all gifts are tax deductible. To donate securely, go to preborn.com/Tucker or call pound 250 on your phone, and when asked, use the word baby. So is Christmas really about buying stuff? You'll be forgiven if you assumed it is, because that's the message you receive. But most people sense deep down there may be a little bit more to Christmas. Maybe this is the time of year to focus on growing your relationship with God, to remember there is a God, and reach out to that God. Well, to do that, you can check out Hallow, the Hallow app, and its Advent Pray 25 Challenge. Hallow is the world's #1 prayer and meditation app, and for good reason. It's amazing. It's fantastic. We use it. We're proud to use it. This Advent, we highly recommend you join Hallow's prayer challenge for God so loved the world. Boy, that'll put meaning in your Christmas for sure. You've got spiritual stories, reflections, music, testimonies. It's really well done. You're not going to get it anywhere else in as easy a form. Just go to Hallow, download it, and bam, it's right there. So this is an opportunity to be transformed by God this Christmas. Don't wait. Get there. 3 free months right now when you sign up at hallow.com/Tucker. My wife comes home and tells me all about it every day. Spend this Christmas working on something that matters, your relationship with God. Maybe the only thing that matters. We hope you will. Hallow.
I'm a little bit surprised that the government of Spain is honoring the extradition request. I mean, the U.S. government just sent $100 billion to Ukraine without an audit, to the most corrupt country in Europe. $100 billion. Didn't even bother to audit it. And a huge percentage is being stolen. We know that. They don't care. So the idea that the U.S. government is so upset that you, a non-citizen, didn't pay U.S. taxes, which you're not even obligated to pay, is like absurd on its face. How did the Spanish government participate in what's obviously a grotesque miscarriage of justice? Why would they play along with this?
If I can interject, not only are they mad about the taxes, I wasn't an American and I wasn't living in the U.S., right? This is like, it's so crazy. I was not American, not living in the U.S., and they're claiming I owe them more U.S. taxes on the Bitcoin. Like, it's just absolute insanity. But if you look at it, when there's a political persecution, they just have to make stuff up so they can grab the people. And the most common way they do it is they use the government tax code because it's so incredibly complicated. Even people that want to comply with every last little detail and how the best professionals, like I did myself, it's too complicated. They can get you if they want you, and that's what they do time and time again. And so in regards to the Spanish government, I have an amazing attorney here, Jaime Campanier. I'm really hoping that he's going to be successful here. He's optimistic about the whole situation, but you don't know. And it's a really terrifying way to live day to day. If I win and Spain decides not to extradite me, they'll send me or my attorney a letter and say, congratulations, you're not being extradited. If I lose and they decide to extradite me, they don't tell me in advance. There'll just be a knock at my door one morning, and they'll grab me and they'll put me in jail, and I'll have zero notice whatsoever. I won't be able to return the rental car or tell the landlord or anything else. They'll literally just come to my house, grab me one morning, and I won't know in advance which morning it's going to be. It'll just happen one morning, and so it's not a fun way to live day to day, knowing if this is your last day, not in prison, potentially for the rest of your entire life. And but I'm cautiously optimistic that Spain will be able to see through this and see that what a politically motivated persecution this is by a bunch of people that are just, jealous. Like, if I hadn't been treated so unfairly politically the last time around when I ran for political office and tried to change the system within, I'd still be, a proud flag-waving American today. And the values of my heart are still some of the most American values there are. And if you think about it, people say, oh, you renounced your U.S. citizenship. That's not very patriotic. Are you kidding? That's exactly the values that America was founded on. It was a bunch of British people that renounced their citizenship and said, I don't like the laws you guys are passing. I'm not going to be a part of this anymore. So renouncing your citizenship is actually one of the most patriotic American-esque things you can possibly do. And I hope the Spanish government will be able to see, like, I've been out there, speaking out to the world about the benefits of cryptocurrency. The U.S. government has the most to lose because the dollar is the world reserve currency, so they like it less than even other governments. This is clearly a politically motivated persecution, and my faith and hope and my dreams are with the Spanish government to not extradite me at this point, and I hope they do the right thing and they can see what's going on. But I also have. Maybe I can beat the whole thing at trial as well, but you never know. You're rolling the dice there, even though I'm completely innocent. But we also could have the Department of Justice and IRS just drop all the charges because I'm completely innocent. And we literally fought this thing all the way to the Supreme Court in regards to my attorney-client privilege documents. When they finally got access to those documents, they were probably mad because it was me literally telling my attorneys, do everything perfectly. I don't want to have any problems. And so they had a big giant letdown. So there was a Supreme Court case in regards to myself. People need to understand how insane it is that the IRS raided my tax attorney, their office. How can you raid someone's attorney's office to violate attorney-client privilege in the U.S.? That's the stuff that all the U.S. propaganda wants you to believe goes on in Russia all the time and other countries, but they're doing it right there at home in where I was born and raised in the United States of America. It's insane that that's going on. So President Biden can do the right thing. He just recently, pardoned his son. He can issue a preemptive pardon for me. Trump, when he gets into office, if anybody knows what it's like to be the victim of lawfare, it's Trump. So I think he'll be able to see it in this case as well. He can issue a preemptive pardon for me as well, and a bunch of other people that deserve it. I'm not the only one, right? There's a whole long list of people out there that have been the victim of lawfare, and more often than not, it's people that are engaged in something that the U.S. doesn't like politically. And if you rock the boat and the deep state doesn't like it, they're going to come after you. And I'm just one more in that long list of people that they've attacked and trying to destroy their lives.
If I wasn't in this business, I wouldn't believe any of this. I wouldn't think anything you were saying was true. I've just seen it so often. Just a specific point. Are you allowed to leave Spain, or are you imprisoned by Spain? Can you leave the country?
So no, not only can I not leave the country, I'm on an island in Spain, off the coast of Spain, called Mallorca. I'm not even allowed to leave this island. I'm not allowed to go on a boat. I'm not allowed to do anything. And every 48 hours, I have to check in with the court and show them my ID and prove that I didn't run away. And again, any day could be my last year. If they decide they are going to extradite me, they'll just show up unannounced and arrest me here in Spain and put me back in the Spanish prison, and then at some point ship me to the U.S. Prison as well. And so that's like a pretty nerve-wracking way to live day after day here in Spain. So Spain's a wonderful country, but I would love to be here voluntarily.
It's shocking that Spain can act as the jailers for the U.S. government on transparently fake charges. So you already spent a month in Spanish prison? What was that like?
My Spanish is certainly better than it was before that happened.
I bet. You know prison slang.
Yeah, and it actually, because I'm such a clean-cut, well-spoken guy, there were a couple of other people in the prison started to think I must be some sort of an American undercover spy spying on the prison. So like some of the other inmates were really wary of me and didn't want to speak to me. And luckily nobody, found out who I was or what my role was in regards to cryptocurrency. But some people were awfully suspicious of me, and I was very glad to get out when I finally did. And the U.S. government was very angry that they granted me bail here in Spain. They wanted to hold me in jail in Spain the entire time in a country. I think this was only the second time I'd ever even visited Spain ever. I thought I was only going to be here for 4 days. There was a cryptocurrency conference about privacy cryptocurrencies here, about Zeno and Monero and things like that. I thought I was just going to be here for that. And I was in the hotel lobby after the conference, and some guy I didn't know came up to me with a thick Spanish accent and said, "Are you Roger Ver?" And I said, "Yes." And Roger Ver, yes. And like 3 or 4 times back and forth. And when I finally convinced him that I was Roger Ver and we had overcome the language barrier, and I thought he was a crypto guy and wanted to ask for like a, autographed copy of my book or talk about crypto or something. Then he pulled out his badge and said that he has an Interpol arrest warrant. And they arrested me right there in the lobby of the hotel in Barcelona and hauled me off to jail in Spain. And, boy, was I not expecting that one bit to happen. And talk about having your world turned upside down. But it just makes me even more motivated because cryptocurrencies are such an powerful, powerful tool for every human being on the planet. How could I not be quiet about spreading this good message to everybody around the world? So congratulations, America. You made me even more motivated to spread cryptocurrency adoption to the world.
That is just one of the craziest stories I think I've ever heard. Roger, Godspeed. We are just rooting for you fervently, and I hope this helps in some small way. Anyway, you're in our thoughts. Thank you.
My pleasure, Tucker. And if I can ask people that want to show their support, please head over to freerogernow.org, and I would deeply